finally, I've got my hands on what could be the best VR headset strap available today. It is the KIWI design Halo battery strap. It's called the H4 Boost. And this head strap, oh blimey, I love it. I really do. Essentially, for a while, I've been using both Halo straps and non-Halo straps, the sort of ones that sort of like wedge your face in, some sort of like weird clamp design. And there are pros and cons, I think, to both. This headset at the moment, I think it alleviates most of my problems with VR head straps. It is by far the best one on the market, and hopefully I'll explain to you in this video why that is. But KIWI Design did send this to me for me to test, so thank you very much to them. This is a completely impartial reviewing process. There's nothing that I'm going to say in this video that is anything other than my honest opinion. Also, one of my head straps that I've been using for a while is the KIWI Design non-Halo strap. I think it's called the K4 or the S4. I think it's the K4. As much as I've really liked this, there are some big flaws with it that are solved by this one, and there are some things on this one which I would have liked to see, but I understand why they haven't included it. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of what this thing actually offers, let's have a look at why you might want to change the head strap on your Quest. So the normal Quest head strap is okay, I guess. There it is. In here I have my Quest 3S. There it is. What a beauty. And this is rocking the standard head strap, you see. Nothing new about it, nothing nice about it. It's just horrible, I'll be honest. And actually, if you just want a nicer experience in VR, that is probably one of the first things I'd recommend you upgrade. And the reason is that with the normal head strap design, it's very front heavy. There's not a lot of support. You can sort of get it into a position where it feels okay, and it feels relatively secure, but it's basically just wedging this into your face. It can get quite uncomfortable, and if you've been wearing the head strap for longer than sort of half an hour, you start to find that things dig in the sort of the wrong places, and it just doesn't feel very comfortable, doesn't feel very secure, and it misses a great component of that you can get on different head straps, which is the fact that these a lot of the time come with external batteries to charge your headset on the go. So before we get into the details and whether I think certain things are good or could be better, let's just quickly summarize what this head strap is actually offering. So the KIWI Design H4 Boost Halo strap is exactly what I just said. It's a Halo head strap, which means instead of it wedging the headset directly on your eyes and around the face guard into the back of your head, it rests on your forehead. Now this increases the amount of contact that you have away from your face, which means you're not constantly having to have something pressed into your eyes and giving you that famous horrible bright red VR face. And what was also quite cool with Halo straps is that because you're not needing the sort of face bit to press into your face, you can actually just straight up take that off, and essentially then what you can do is you can have your headset on without anything touching your face at all, and it stays completely in front of you and just works much better. You get all of your sort of vision through the side, so I can see the camera now out the side of my vision, but then I can turn around and I have all my VR stuff going on in front of me. It's a very nifty little thing that you can do with this. I'm currently using the Globally Cluster face interface. I really like that facial interface. I think it's really cool. Honestly, I'm a big fan. But what this head strap offers you is it's got this pad. This pad here presses onto your forehead. You've got a nice big circular pad on the back, which goes into the back of your head. And because there's lots of gaps in space, airflow is really good on this. It's not going to be getting overly hot and sweaty and sticky. It's going to be feeling nice and cool and lightweight. Now, not only is this the Halo strap, because it's the H4 Boost, it also gives you a battery. Now this battery is contained in this back bit here, and there's a couple of neat little features with this battery which make it work really well. In the past, especially when the Quest 3 first came out, the amount of power needed to charge it was actually quite high. You needed a high wattage when you were charging, and the sort of current battery straps at the time weren't doing it. Now the KIWI Design one always did, especially even with the older non-Halo design ones, they still worked. This one again does the same thing, but once you have this thing set up and it's plugged in, it will actually be increasing battery charge as you play. What is also pretty good is that if you charge and you plug in the battery of the head strap, and this is also plugged into your headsets, it will divert the power to where it's needed the most. So if your actual headset is very low on battery and the external battery is also low on battery, it will first of all charge the headset and then go and prioritize the other battery afterwards. It will be able to work that out internally as to which one needs the most power, and it diverts it itself. It's very, very, very cool. I think it's called dual boost charging is the official name, but it basically means it will charge one less and one more depending on where it's needed. So things you're probably wanting to know if you're going to buy this head strap is, one, how good is it? Like, is it comfortable? Does the battery, does it actually give it much extra life? And not only that, is it a decent build quality? Is this thing going to just snap and break apart? Is it not going to last very long, or is it going to last quite a while? So let's just quickly take a closer look at the design. There's a few things on this head strap which I think make it very comfortable. It's very highly adjustable and maneuverable to just sort of make sure you get the perfect fit. There are 3 points of contact that you're going to have against your head. You have this sort of front pad on the front, just there on your forehead. You've got the back pad there, which is again a really nice plush memory foam type cushion that you get on both of those, and then you get the strap that goes over the top, which you can use to sort of make sure that you're getting it at the right level. These 3 things are going to make sure that it's comfortable, that's going to make sure it's secure, that's going to make sure you're not getting the headset move at all. And that's what I found when I've been using this, is that actually it holds up pretty well. You do occasionally still need to adjust it if you do a lot of very intense movements, but a lot less than you would if you were using normal head straps, or even the normal not Halo head straps. It's very, very stable. Now, the next thing that's good about those is that it's highly, highly maneuverable. So all of these pads rotate and move and are very flexible. So depending on the shape of your head or where you want to have it to make sure it's comfortable, it will adjust and mold around your head. Not only that, you can obviously adjust how wide your head is and how tight it's going to be on your head. You can adjust here the distance between this sort of strap here and how high and low that's going to be on there, so you can make sure if you need more space from your forehead to your eyes and you've got a bigger forehead, you can make that longer. If you've got a smaller forehead, you can make it shorter. And then also you can actually use this bit on the side here to be able to adjust how far away the headset is going to be, forwards or backwards. So there's a lot of very minute things you can adjust, and it takes a little bit of time to make sure you get it right. So I do recommend making sure you spend a bit of time adjusting it and not just put it on and assume that it's going to be perfect. But once you do that, it's very, very comfortable. So it passes the comfort test. What's next? Build quality. How well is it built? Well, there's a few things to factor in and a few things that I think are really good. One, the materials. It's a very similar material to the actual casing of the Quest itself. There's a little bit of flex in it. You can hear a little click there. That's because you can actually pull out and flex this thing here, and that's what's happening, that's what's making that noise. But you can move it around, nothing's breaking, it's got a lot of flex to it. If someone was to step on it, it wouldn't be ideal. I'd recommend putting it somewhere safe, but it's not going to just snap the first time you do something silly, you accidentally sit on the thing. It's probably just going to flex, and then you're going to be like, oh, I wasn't meant to sit on that. I really like how they've designed the sort of clips. It's not just one of these head straps that sort of slide onto the arms of the Quest headset. It's actually a proper perfect mold to that. So if you want to take it off, I'm going to try and do that now. You just pull this little tab, which it gives you something to actually pull and hold on to, and then it just sort of comes off there. Then you do the same on this side, pull that tab, and we are free. The head strap can come out. Obviously the head strap is also attached at this top bit, so it's not actually going anywhere, but there we go. So the head strap's out, and to get it back on, it just goes straight in here. Now it's also got the cutouts, it's perfectly molded to the Quest, and it just looks like it should be made for Meta. Speaking of being made for Meta, the battery one isn't an official made for Meta product, but the non-battery one is an official made for Meta product. That means when this thing has been designed, it has been approved by Meta, which means this thing has basically been officially endorsed by Meta. Now this one isn't made for Meta, and that's because this is the battery version. Maybe it'll get that qualification at a later date, maybe it won't, because they don't want to do that with battery head straps, but it's the same design other than the battery. So if that one was good enough for Meta, this is definitely good enough for Meta. Honestly, I've been using this headset now for, I would say, 3 weeks, and I think it is the most comfortable headset I've ever used. It says a lot, I'll be honest. The other thing to bear in mind is battery life. So this thing does give you more battery, and it's not the world's biggest battery, I'll be honest, but it's very, very, very good, and it does a decent job. Depending on what I'm doing, I will get probably 100% more battery life if I'm using this Headstrap battery. So whatever I was going to do, I will normally times it by 2. So it's normally about an extra 2 to 3 hours of battery life, depending on the things I'm doing. If I'm playing graphically intense games, it's going to be less time than if I'm just sort of doing basic things and browsing around on the headset. But doubling the battery life, I think, is pretty much what you want. Most people don't spend more than that on the Headstrap set anyway. Most people will get to the point where it runs out the first time on the headset, the actual headset running out, and that's the point where they're like, oh, I wish I just had an extra hour or so. So the fact that this gives you between 2 and 3 hours, I think that is pretty much the sweet spot. Could it be longer? It probably could be longer, but then you sort of get into bigger batteries, heavier headset, it's adding extra weight, it's changing the balancing and stuff like that. So I think they've sort of got the sort of value proposition for it. I wouldn't necessarily need a bigger battery, but some people might, and they might think, oh, that's a little bit annoying. Now, one solution that you can get for this on certain headsets is hot swappable batteries. This does not have that. So if you want longer than that 2 to 3 hours, you're going to be missing out on this one, because it is just a fixed battery in the back. There ain't no swapping going on. Now, I've really liked KIWI design for a very, very long time. They've done quite a few things that I really, really, really like. For example, I've reviewed their charging stand that they have, which is really cool. And this particular battery strap had this little adapter on it, which meant you could have it plugged into there, and then on the stand, when you placed it on the stand, it would magnetically attach to there and charge the headset and the strap, which is really freaking cool. And you can't do that on this one. So this one, it can sit on the stand, of course it can, but it doesn't have the little input there where you can plug it in, which is a bit of a shame, because I thought that was really awesome. But you win some, you lose some. The dual boost charging thing works a lot better with this one, so happy with that. But like I said, KIWI Design make a lot of really decent high quality products. So they've also sent me these controller grips. This is a protective case cover for your controllers to stop you accidentally smashing them up if you whack them into walls and stuff like that, which I do surprisingly often. But it also offers you this sort of wrist strap, which means that if you were to let go of the buttons on your controller, look, it's still in your hand. I would recommend these type of things to people. I've been using them in a variety of different brands versions for a while. I really like them. I think that is a massive plus if you're going to be playing VR games quite frequently. Just having that freedom to just sort of let go of your controller and it stay in the same place, so when you grab your hand back, it's all in the right place. It's really cool. But KIWI Design just take it to another level with this thing. So the quality of it is really, really cool, and I'll explain why. One, the rubber is this sort of textured material, which is really nice. It doesn't feel overly grippy. It sort of has like a nice slidiness to it, which is grippy enough, but it doesn't feel like you're having to like slide against it. It doesn't irritate your hand at all. It feels really nice under your hand. And then you have this sort of Velcro strap here, which loosens but doesn't get to the point where it unties and falls out. It's really like sort of well thought out how they've done it, and it's a really nice material. It looks, honestly, it looks horrible. Like, it looks like it's going to feel really scratchy and rough, but it's not. It's really smooth. It feels really nice, really good against your skin, and then you can sort of adjust it and tighten it depending on how big your hand. So if you have massive like pores like I do, you're going to be all right. But it's really nice. It's relatively at the bottom there. I'm sort of at the sort of max as to where I think where it would start getting a bit annoying, but it fits my hand really nicely and it puts my fingers in exactly the right place, so I'm a big fan of that. As well as that, obviously you've got a hole for your wrist strap if you want to use that too. You don't obviously have to do that if you don't like, but then under here obviously it has access to a battery, so there's actually your own custom little cover there, and then you got the battery in there, so I can then just pull on this little tab and then I can change the battery easily without having to take the whole thing off. Really, really clever, just nice little attentions to detail that make this thing just so much higher quality. That's what I like about KIWI Design. It's cheaper than the sort of official Meta stuff, but the quality is really top notch. Again, these ones have that sort of made for Meta logo, so it's all Meta approved, and they are top notch. KIWI Design. Smashing stuff. The question you're probably asking me is, do these affect the tracking? Because it's got this little lip that comes over the top. But they've been quite clever with this, is that what they've done with the lip is they've actually made that into a material there is translucent, which means light can pass through it. And because light can pass through it, it doesn't affect the tracking. You can still get the infrared lights that come through and it can still see it, and it's not going to change the tracking at all. In fact, if anything, it actually disperses it a little bit, so it makes the tracking slightly better, you could argue. Now, there are tons of head straps and grips and stuff out there. If there are any in particular that you think are better than this, or you think would be worth comparing to this, stick them in the comments below. I'm sure people want to know what's out there. I personally am a massive fan of KIWI Design. I'm really grateful that they sent me things to review so I can share them with you guys. If you want any of the things that I've talked about today, then the links are all in the description below. I'll probably comment a link down with the links too. And if you've made it this far in the video, my question for you is, what game do you think one of these head straps is a must for? What can you just not get away with the stock strap? Tell me in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Whoop!